Okay, thank you and welcome. Welcome to the Stellar Media podcast. My name is Lana Morris. Michael, do you want to introduce yourself?
Do you know what? I mean, we've recorded quite a few podcast episodes, Lana, so I think everybody knows who I am now. But let me just say this. I'm absolutely looking forward to today. I really am. The lady that we've got on the show has been a personal friend of mine for a very, very long time. And I know you're going to introduce her in a minute. I'm going to let you do that. But this is an absolute highlight for me. When we set up the podcast for Stellar Media, this lady was one of the first people that came to mind as to who I would like to be a podcast guest. And so this is an absolute highlight for me. And I'm just going to let you introduce her.
Okay, thank you. So I'm really, really pleased to welcome Yvonne Bottarelli. Yvonne is, does quite a number of things, primarily angel reading, connecting with the angels, also does meditation.
Lana,
Yeah.
can you pronounce Yvonne's name right, please?
What's the pronunciation?
Okay, we're going to go with Bottarelli.
Bottarelli.
Yes.
Okay, right. Do you want to start that all over again then, Mike?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you sing it a little bit, it helps. Like Bottarelli.
Oh dear, my pronunciation is rubbish, especially when it comes.
Right, say it for us.
Bottarelli.
No, cool. Right, start again,
fine.
and I'll do my little intro again, and then we're all done. All right.
Okay, right. So am I introducing you or not? Because technically you're not going to be seen on a podcast.
Yeah, just introduce me. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just start again.
Right. Hi and welcome to stellarmedia.co podcast. I'm Lana Morris. Mike, do you want to introduce yourself?
I do.
Sure,
I mean, of all the times that we've been recording podcasts over the last, few weeks, Lana, I have to say,
lost your sound.
All right.
This is going to be
I want to introduce myself, Lana, because I guess when we set up this podcast, this lady that we're going to be talking to very, very shortly, I mean, she's been a friend of mine for a very, very long time. And when we set up the podcast, this lady was one of the first people that came to mind when it came to who did we want as a podcast guest. Now I'm going to let you introduce her. But let me say,
we've lost your sound again there, Mike.
Do you know what? This is going well so far.
It is going well so far. I'm going to take my bandwidth right down.
Just turn your camera off, love.
Off.
Cool. Okay. Right. Can we start again? And then that makes it the last time. Right. Just start again. And then we can edit all this out, Yvonne.
We can. But now Yvonne's frozen.
She's not my side.
Right. Well, are you're able to pick up from yours then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's just keep going and we'll get everything done.
Hi and welcome to stellarmedia.co. Welcome to today's podcast. My name is Lana Morris. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mike?
Yeah, I'm tempted to say this is the third take, Lana, but I know we're going to edit that sentence out. Let me just say that the lady that we have on the podcast today has been a friend of mine for a very, very long time. This is an absolute dream for me. It's a highlight that when we set up this podcast and we were considering who was our target audience, this lady was one of the first ladies that came to mind as somebody that would be really helpful to our listeners. Now, I'm going to let you introduce her, but let me just state for the record that this is an absolute highlight for me. I'm probably going to be very quiet today just because I love listening to this lady's voice. But Lana, take it away.
Okay, so we're really, really pleased to welcome Yvonne Bottarelli. Yvonne does a lot of work with angels and does angel readings, and she also does meditations and Reiki. Hi, Yvonne, how are you?
Hi, Lana. It's lovely to be on air with you guys. Hi, Mike.
It's
great. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne. I just muted myself then.
Oh, okay. Don't do that.
Okay, so I'm just going to start the first question really, Yvonne, which is, how did you come into working with angels?
Well, in actual fact, they revealed to me many years after I was more familiar with them that they had been working with me for a very long time, going back to my original career, which I do still do. We said we weren't going to talk about it, but the hairdressing thing. The angels come in quite closely, because in that field of work, you're actually coaching people and working them through a lot of their transformations and different things that are going on. The angelic realm was working with me before I knew that I was working with them. And it goes back to sort of 2002. And I think I simply came across some angel cards that I thought, oh, that's really intriguing. And I bought myself some angel cards, and that was the life expanding on that journey. So it is quite a way back. And then it's almost like after I started working with them, I started to recall times in my life when different weird things happened, and this, that, and the other. And they kind of said, yep, that was us. Yep, that was us. So it kind of links in, really. You're never without working with the angels. It's just whether you're consciously working with them or not.
And you mentioned some weird stuff happening, and I think this is something that some people, and certainly some of our previous guests, have had pretty much all the way through childhood, and yet others it's happened later on in life, and there doesn't seem to be a kind of rhyme or reason. It just seems to be at that point when you're ready. How did you feel sort of moving from, I know you still do hair, but being a hairdresser, and then all of a sudden this new avenue opening up for you?
Well, I have to go back to my own journey, really, because I mean that's what usually propels you forward to reach out for something more. Because I was successful. I was doing my hairdressing career, and it was all going well to all purposes. And I had a big shift in my own life where I moved, and I was actually living out of the country. And at that point, I probably hit my lowest ebb when I actually had a breakdown. So I had a full-blown breakdown, and then it's almost like you come out on the other side. And I think that's when you start to ask questions as to, well, how is this possible? How can somebody successful, seemingly have it all, actually have a breakdown? And I think now more on the spiritual line of things, it's more called a breakthrough than a breakdown, because sometimes you have to allow the old world to fall away from around you, so that you actually start to look within for answers, and you start to reach for something more than the tangible, more than just the physical. So you want to reach for something aesthetic, so that you can actually say, well, I need something around me. And that's when I started my journey. And the journey starts with the questions. They come from within, and it's almost like once you start to ask the questions, you get the answers, but you have to be at the point where you're ready to ask the questions so that you're able to receive the answers. It's kind of a chicken and egg scenario, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's how I got started, if that
right
helps.
And so starting that sort of process, I know talking to some people that sometimes, I'm going to use the word spiritual awakening for want of a better word, that can be quite a scary experience, because it's not something that you kind of think is going to happen. So
Exactly.
how did you manage that process and get to where you are now, where you're directly working with angelic realm and being able to support and coach other people?
I think, as I say, that having my own breakdown was absolutely the best thing that ever happened to me, because it gave me the foundation to recreate and discover, like it was like a path of self-discovery as to who I was, what the universe was all about, what was available for us, as in help, as in the angels, and then sort of move forward with that. And the process of supporting other people actually happened naturally. I mean, through my own breakdown, there is some like really dark times, and you're going through panic attacks and different things like that. I felt that there was times when you are very much alone, and it is a dark place, but I guess the universe had my back. I know they always had my back. I know now, whenever I'm having a down day, the universe has got my back. The angels are there. They're always supporting you. And at every level, whenever you're ready to reach, whenever you're ready to sort of like take that step closer to them, they jump in. And I think through my breakdown, I was very fortunate that I started to connect with the right kind of people. It was probably a year or so later. It was kind of like through the healing process of that. The breakdown was well in the past, if you like, but the whole healing process, I started to meet different people, and I was like, oh, that's really strange. I wouldn't have chosen that person as a friend, or different things were like orchestrated through the universe as a support network, basically. So I was taken through the next part of my journey, which I probably started off with Reiki. Mm-hmm. I went first to Reiki because I'd heard about it being such, this phenomenal thing and whatever else. And so I started with Reiki. I got attuned to first level Reiki, which really does help to sort of like clear a lot of like blocks within ourselves, so that you can actually use a higher vibration. I mean, universally, everything is about vibration. So I brought the Reiki in, and then slowly but surely I went on to the next level, expanded the kind of people that I was meeting and the different things that they were using and different energy things. And to be quite honest, Lana, it was a complete it was a complete wake-up call. I didn't know anything existed. I didn't know what a chakra was. I didn't know what an aura was. I didn't know anything about anything prior to that. And it's almost like sometimes when you think back to the past, I think, how did I ever survive without this information? But in actual fact, it all just falls into place. Sometimes you can't, well, not sometimes, but you can rely on the universe to deliver to you exactly what you're ready to receive.
Yeah. That's really cool. So if somebody was coming to you to connect with the angelic realm and be at that space where they're ready to move forward, what would they be experiencing when they came to you for angelic support?
I think the people that I do tend to find come to me are people that are they're almost lost for answers, not in a sense that there's nothing else out there that's fulfilling and answering the questions, and they just need to feel supported. I mean, very often we may have our family and our loved ones around us, but there's that extra something that we're looking for, and very often they come into the angelic sort of experience and it's a kind of like, oh, I found you moment. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there is something else for me. There's something else I can actually reach for. So very often, I mean the working with the angels, it isn't for everybody, but it's when you get to the point where you're willing to surrender. It's pretty much surrendering the human ego to remember that there is something greater than yourself out there, in as much as you can tune into a higher frequency that is the angelic realm. So people who come to me ordinarily are seeking to find the wisdom that is within themselves, as well as the angelic realm to support them moving forward.
Yeah. And if somebody was coming for, was it a reading? Would you do this with cards or? Yeah. So if they were coming to you, without obviously going into specifics, because I know people coming for different reasons, but how would the session with you actually go? What would happen in that session?
Well, what I actually say about my readings, they're not predictive. It's not like I'm going to tell you you're going to get a car and you're going to meet this person, you're going to meet that person. When I spoke to the angels, I queried it myself, because of course you've got tarot readings, you've got different divinations that sort of like tell you different things. And when I actually asked them what was the difference between what I was doing with the angel cards and what, say, for instance, the tarot cards were doing, they both work on the same principle of vibration. So when you're taking a tarot card, you're at the vibration of where you are. This is the path that is about to unfold for you. So you're being told what's up ahead of you. So your tarot cards will do that. The difference between what I do with the angel cards, the angels, the sentence they gave to me was, the tarot and that kind of reading shows the people what's on the outside of them. What an angel card reading does, it shows everybody what's on the inside of them. Because ultimately, it's irrelevant of what's in your future, whatever comes out on a reading. Nothing is written in stone, because you yourself can change your frequency, you yourself can change your way to be, you can change your belief system. So that creates a different path in front of you, because there's never one path in front of you anyway. There's so many branches off to this journey that we're on, that you can change your path just by changing your outlook on life. You can change your path by believing in yourself, by letting go of something, by healing. So the card readings that I do are about the journey within. So obviously, I mean, it would be very rare that anybody would say they had nothing, you know, their life was fantastic, then they probably wouldn't seek an angel reading anyway, or any kind of reading for that matter. So with an angel reading, when a person comes, they're probably striving to find that perfect relationship, or they're probably striving to find a better job, or find more fulfillment in their life. And instead of telling them exactly where they're going, because in actual fact that's irrelevant, it's like where you're going, if you want to be going in that direction, you'll still go there. But what the angels will take you on is a journey within yourself. So say, for instance, you're looking for that perfect career, then is your self-worth high enough for you to achieve that? Because you have to be at the same vibration of that which you seek. And sometimes the reason why we're not reaching our goals, or you know what it is we want to achieve, is because in actual fact our self-belief system, or what's going on within us, is not helping us to be at the same vibration, so we can't reach there. So what an angel card reading does, I call it a soul reading. It takes you back to you, so you can make the changes within yourself. You can change your outlook, you can change whether you go for a walk in the park and connect with nature. There's many different things that come into it, but it's about you creating the person that is glorious and wonderful within yourself, so that you can achieve these outer external things in your life, and greater inner peace, etc.
Yeah, so I mean, this sounds like quite significant transformational work for an individual.
Yes.
So can you just take me through, you know, obviously when somebody comes for a reading, they might not necessarily be aware that it might be the first start of a transformational journey. So talk to me a little bit about your coaching and how you would support somebody going through that process.
It's brilliant for you to bring that up, Lana, because in actual fact it isn't it's not very often that one card reading and sort of like, I mean, I do think that my work is very transformational, and if you do spend an hour and a half with me, you can't think the same way that you used to before, because there's so many things. As I work as a channel, so I'm listening to what the angels are saying, but it's almost like they work through me directly, and I will always hit the right chord with a person. I'll say it in a way, because I know when they're speaking through me, because I'm interested in what's being said. It's quite unusual. I'm like, oh, that was interesting, you know. So they'll always explain it in a way that helps the person to restructure their own thinking. And obviously this is something that if they're then really, you know, want to move forward, they need to you know, perhaps work with me, and to sorry, I froze. They have to, it's not that they have to work with me specifically. I mean, obviously there's different structural networks out there that they can use, but what I do in my coaching is I'll take them weekly. Usually they'll just come and they've had a week, and we'll go through what they've done for that week and how they feel, and how does that make them feel, and if they'd have let that go, how would that make them feel. So it's almost like taking you on a journey of looking at your life from a different perspective, but step by step, because we've been trained to be, you know, sometimes critical. We've been trained to be judgmental from such an early age. It's like reprogramming how you actually decipher, you know, your world, because in actual fact life is neutral. It's how we judge it brings us in that experience. So what I do when people come to me, say for instance, because I'm not a fluffy kind of therapist, you know what I mean, I won't take on you know, when people want to have a moan, that's fine. I'll give you 10 seconds on that. And then we're going to take responsibility for why you created that. Why did you create that situation in your life? Is it something within you that needs to be cleared, to be let go of? Because ultimately we work with the law of attraction, which means that you are attracting everything you need to experience for your growth at that time.
Yeah.
And I will gently do it. Like I say, I mean, I'm not that harsh. You know, I will actually explain something to them and then take them through the process of how they can adjust their thinking, how they can adjust everything. And when I'm working with the angels will very often ask me to like place my hands on the person's shoulders, or if I'm working at a distance, I can do this energetically to send in the healing and the love and the support that, you know, the customer needs.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that, because obviously you do Reiki, and you've mentioned Reiki, and you also take people through meditation. So I just wondered, how do these three connect to enable that more holistic approach to the client?
Well, with meditation, as you take somebody into a meditative state, you're helping them to release any stress and tension. If you think about stress and tension, it begins really with overthinking. So everybody, you know, people are thinking about their problems and they're constantly thinking about the problem, which then creates more of the same. So when you can get somebody into a relaxed state, you can actually change different things within that person. When you're working with Reiki, again, you're working on the energy body, because in actual fact, everything that we are experiencing starts first in our energy body. It's in our mental body, in our emotional body, in our auric field, and then it comes into the physical. So when you're working with Reiki, if you can clear the energy bodies before it becomes a physical, so you're actually, it's like a preventive thing. If you can clear the overthinking or the stress or the irritability from somebody's auric field before you're working on them, they're more open to receive a higher divine light, rather than, you know, being bombarded with all these different things that are upsetting them. So I like to work on a holistic field, because yes, you know, people, once they're, you know, say physically not well, obviously they may need medical assistance, and this is what's right for them. But when you're supporting them to move forward, excuse me, when you work with their energy, it means that wherever work they're having done physical, you're supporting that with energy work. Meditation is very powerful. We've also not been accustomed to being taking care of our, you know, the mind, body and spirit thing. We take care of the mind, we take care of the body, and we forget about the spiritual. So when you get into a meditative state, it's almost like you can't remember all those stressful things. They will play on your mind for a little while as you're trying to meditate, but once you get used to meditation, it kind of like, you know, you can step back from it. And that's what I do with the meditation. It's not like just getting people to go into a meditative state and you just sit there. I use creative visualizations. So say, for instance, they've got a problem and they want to view the problem from a different perspective. It's a little bit of NLP work that probably comes into this. And I am NLP trained, by the way. So when you take someone into a meditative state, if you can get them to view their problem at a detached place where they're not emotionally attached to it, they can actually solve their own problems very easily, you know. So it's a collective thing, you know. It is a whole thing, hence the word holistic.
Absolutely. I've got a question, Lana, if that's okay. I mean, Yvonne, I've known you for a very long time, and you are just one of the most bubbly people I've ever met. You were talking earlier on about, you know, what people can do to, you know, to encourage themselves, to motivate themselves, to lift themselves. You were talking about the various activities that people can undertake just to change their mindset. How do you stay so bubbly? What's your process when you get up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night? What is it that you do to keep yourself in the right space?
Okay, now we do have to say though, Maya, I do have to confess, I have my bad days. Yeah, you know, it's not to say that you can. I mean, it's high level to wake up so, you know, bubbly and everything all the time. But when you wake up in the morning, that's the start of your day. So you need to be gracious and appreciative that you've even woken up. You know, sometimes we take it for granted that I woke up in a bed and my home is clean. It's almost like life becomes a prayer of gratitude, you know, because there's so many things to be grateful for, but we actually forget because we're too busy moaning about what we haven't got as opposed to appreciating what we have got. I like to grab my cup of tea. I like to go and sit in the garden. It's just grounding, provided it's not raining, but I have been known to take my umbrella out when I really need to get grounded. It's great to actually just feel nature around us. When we're connected with nature, we tend to have a different feel about us for the whole day. Then I would go into eat. I may stay in the garden, I may come in, and I might go and pick up one of my crystals. I play with crystals all the time because they help to raise your vibrations. And I would go through a clearing process to just let go of anything that I may have picked up through the night as I'm sleeping. And then I would go through grounding and clearing my chakras. And then I set my intention for the day as to what I want to achieve for the day. It may not be nothing. I might actually tune in and say, you know, what's the best thing for me to do today with the angels? And they're like, well, rest up. And I'm like, cool, good to go. So it's almost like knowing you're doing the right thing every day by tuning in to your higher self and then finding out what is the best thing for me to be doing for my higher self today that I can serve other people. So it might be sort of like to write something down or, you know, do whatever. And I think sometimes it's just reminding yourself to be grateful. It's one of the fastest ways to change your frequency instantly. If I find that I've had a rough day and I'm getting a bit cranky about something, I remind myself, or rather the angels may do this in actual fact, remind myself to be grateful. Be grateful for everything. It doesn't matter whether it's this cup of tea I've got. It's just an attitude of gratitude is a frequency that instantly cannot be in the same place as lack or feelings of, you know, being low. It's a vibration that lifts instantly. So an attitude of gratitude is a good one.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I wanted to ask you, Yvonne, because for those listeners that, you know, may be new to looking at mind, body, spirit things and, you know, might be taking those first steps. There were a couple of words you mentioned. You mentioned the word grounded. What does that actually mean for somebody who's never experienced maybe any mind, body, spirit before, but has a feeling, a call that there's something beyond that they might need to explore? What do we mean by the term grounded?
Grounded is it means it is in the word. It's like being grounded. It's like a tree. If you could imagine, Lana, a tree that had no roots, you wouldn't be doing much. It'd be falling over. And being grounded means for us, because we are, as I said before, we're much more than just the physical body. So you've got all this energy that sometimes it's almost like if you had a plug that didn't have the earth wire in it, it becomes very sort of static and you know, you could blow the electricity. So we're the same. If we don't have that cord literally going into the ground, it's almost like it's harder for us to stay centered. It's harder for us to stay balanced. It's harder for us to achieve what we want to manifest, because we need to be grounded for all our goals to be achieved. Now, it's not to say that people are all running around there not being grounded, because in actual fact, naturally, we will ground ourselves. We will ground ourselves. Some children do it. You know, when children stamp their feet on the floor, they're grounding themselves, you know. So some people do it, they'll go jogging, people who do yoga, people who sort of have like different hobbies and different things actually do it naturally. So it's not to worry people that they're not grounded. Eating foods that are grown underneath the earth, such as carrots, potatoes, things like that, they're grounding foods. So you'll be grounding yourself. As I'm sure you're the expert in colour, depending on what colours you're wearing, they will help to sort of ground you. There's different crystals that help to ground you. Now, the purpose of grounding is because you're bringing through, when you're connecting, the reason why I do it is because I'm bringing through a higher vibration. I'm connecting with the angelic realm and I'm bringing through my soul energy. So that's a higher vibration. So if I'm not grounded before I start this work, that energy would make me sort of like heady, dizzy, or, you know, just not be able to sort of bring the energy in on a balanced form. So grounding is really important for people who work with energy, who do Reiki or any form of holistic work. There, it is paramount for them to ground instantly. Now, for people who are just on an everyday basis and they're going through their lives, it's still awesome just to ground. Some people, if you could just take a couple of minutes just to take 3 deep breaths, letting it out, and just imagine you've got roots coming out of the soles of your feet like a tree, and just send it into the earth, you will instantly feel a sense of calm, because what you're doing is getting rid of and grounding everything that you don't need anymore. So we use a lot of grounding with meditation. Before we meditate, you're grounding so that you're just letting go of all the excess energy that you don't need. You're grounding it, and then we can start fresh.
Yeah, brilliant. And if somebody was coming to you for a reading, you mentioned about clearing, being able to clear blocks. What, you know, have you got a couple of tips for people that might be listening about, you know, if they're sort of stuck or they're seeing the same thing happening over and over again in their life, and they might not quite be ready to take the next step and have a reading with someone, what tips could help just to help them clear those blocks enough for them to then take the next step?
There is, you can obviously when you wish to release a block, then instantly that kind of thing will start to shift. Okay, it's the desire to let go within yourself. Sometimes we don't know what the block is, so sometimes you can just ask for the block to be, I ask for any resistance, because it's not so much a block, it's a resistance of you achieving that. I say for you want to reach a romantic partner, but you're feeling like, oh, you know what, I can't put myself out there. So you would ask that yourself, your soul energy, yourself, that you would release any resistance for you receiving and allowing love to come in. Now, the other thing is about, I mean, I know we use the word block, but it is the only way that you can describe things, but there is no blocks, basically. They're just energetical pathways of our thoughts that have put things in place, or programming from being a child. So the greatest thing you can do is ask yourself the question. The most important thing to do is to ask the question, what is it within me that is, am I resisting reaching that? And if you're sitting quietly, hence where the meditation comes in, if you're sitting quietly within yourself and you ask the right question, because very often we're kind of like, you know, why can't I have that? Why can't I have that? And it's like, well, it's not going to happen because, you know, you're asking the wrong question. You need to be asking, what is it within me that is not, that I am resisting receiving?
Yeah.
Because the universe is always delivering. The universe is neutral to what we ask for. The universe will always deliver. But it's about us being able to ask the right question. What is it within me that I'm resisting receiving this? And then there will be, I mean, that's what I teach with like different modalities. In actual fact, there's different ways that you can literally physically feel yourself lifting this block out, surrendering it, handing it up to the higher realms. I mean, that is one of my favorites. Just give it to God. Can you just have this, please? You know what I mean? It's like, actually, I don't need this anymore. Thank you. You know, just let it go. So, you know, we
Brilliant.
tend to think, yeah, sorry, go on.
No, go carry on.
I do chat a lot, don't I?
Not at all. Not at all. Right. Listen, I've got a question for you. I want to go to your coaching.
Yeah.
All right. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you are an incredible coach. Now, without giving names and situations away, is there a story that you can tell that would show how somebody's moved from a position where they are stuck to a position where they are now living life in a new way? Is there a story that you can share with our listeners?
Again, you can't really divulge too many things personal, but there was a lady who came to me and she was very stuck. She wanted to quit her job. Her ex-partner was working in the same environment, in the same place as her, and she was constantly being ill. And it was like she wanted me to help her to get out of her job and move to another job. So when we did the reading, we did some Reiki. I was like, I will do what you ask. I will do exactly what you want me to help you with, but you know what, I think you should stay in the job, and I think you should become this being a beautiful light that you are where you are right now. And she was resistant to that to begin with, but I explained to her, if she ran away from the problem, if she ran away from this situation, it would only actually manifest again in the next job and the next job, until you sit back and say, so what is this creating? What am I learning from this situation? Because that is the other thing, going back to what Lana said about your blocks. Sorry to throw a twist on it, it's always about, what am I learning from this? What have I got to learn from this? So she willingly, eventually, she said, okay, let's go for it. So I actually used a little bit of NLP, little meditation, Reiki, just to help her shift her energy so that she could view things from a different perspective. And what actually happened was the ex-partner that was working in the same environment that she was, as opposed to him being the more dominant, sort of domineering kind of person, he started to wither a little bit, and he started to get really irritated whenever he saw her, and which made me laugh, because I realized that there was a vibrational shift taking place. She was starting to irritate him instead, because he knew he couldn't control her anymore. He wasn't able to sort of like wind her up. So I got her to sit with her demons, if you like, stay there, and pull herself into a better place. Before long, he moved out. He got a different job. He was the one that actually moved, which made her feel amazing about herself. She then got a different job, like within the same company, but a different job, and she moved on. Her health's improved, and she has actually developed her own holistic work now, but I won't say what that is, because that might give the whole story away. But she's actually an incredible woman who really does now never think about herself as a victim. Nobody around her controls her. She now has the power to go within and say, okay, so what's it within me? And she makes the changes within herself. I love her to bits. She still comes to me very, very seldom, but she does come to my meditation groups though. So she plugs back in once a month.
That's brilliant.
And that's one of my favorites.
That's really lush. And I mean, I guess the question I wanted to ask you, Yvonne, is, you know, as a practitioner, as a holistic practitioner, and working with energy work, which, you know, can be quite a heavy responsibility when you have people coming to you who are perhaps, you know, finding it a struggle to get through to, you know, their own transformational journeys. Mm-hmm. How do you, you know, support and keep your vibration, you know, high and in a space that enables people to experience that transformation, you know, with you coaching and supporting them?
Me personally, or I mean, obviously, I have a lot of things that I do. I mean, I take salt baths, I sage, I, you know, make sure that I use positive, you know, dialogue within myself at all times. If you find that you're using something that's critical, it'll bring your energy down. I have to have for myself just a greater self-awareness. And whenever something happens in my life, even if I get pulled down for a day or two, which is fine, you can get stuck in something for a day or two, but then I have to pull myself out and go, okay, girl, here's another challenge. What's going on? Why have you created this? Where are you going with this? So it's not about coming down. It's how fast you pull yourself back up out of it, you know, because the thing is, it is a case of I have to walk my talk as well. You know, I can't tell people how to think positively and, you know, lead a great life. I mean, I could show you around my room. It's nothing but spiritual books, crystals, angel cards. I write a lot. I do write a lot. I use pen just to sort of sometimes use that for gratitude, or use that for allowing myself to sort of vent any irritations or frustrations that I have. So I do find, I mean, I'd probably do a little bit of ritual type thing. I'll, you know, write something that I've written down that isn't great, and then I'll just burn it. I'm like, that's it, it's done, it's finished. Yeah, I'm letting go. Yeah, a lot of things is about surrendering.
Yeah, that's perfect, because I mean, the next question I've got for you is you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to walk and talk a minute. Sorry.
That's absolutely fine. You're talking about releasing stuff. I want to just look forward with you, Yvonne, a bit. I want you to talk us through, what do you sense is going to happen spiritually in 2017?
2017.
All right.
Yes,
And also,
okay.
all right, let me ask that question. Let me ask that question again.
Sorry.
Okay. So you've talked about releasing. I want to look forward. And I guess the question I've got for you is, what do you sense is going to happen spiritually in 2017? And let me follow that up with another question. That is, what do you sense in 2017 is the way forward for Yvonne Bottarelli?
Okay, well, we've just come through a massive shift that's taken place into 2017. We've also got the lunar eclipse just coming up in a few days' time, which is, eclipses are really powerful. How eclipses work, it's almost like the energy of the sun and the moon coming onto the planet keeps that vibration within the planet, so everything we're thinking and the way that we're being is collectively held in that vibration. When there is an eclipse, one split second, the energy changes, and then the new vibrations, the new thoughts, the new way to be can then become solid, can become manifest, because then as the planets go back into alignment, it shifts everything. And that's why very often with full moons and new moons, we're all always collectively working on the same stuff, because there's different planets that make different alignments. So we have to think about the planets as well. But with 2017, we've gone into this massive shift where we're moving into what some may know, don't want to confuse too many people, but some may know about moving into the fifth dimension as opposed to being in the third dimension. Now, fifth dimensional vibration is something that's happening within our own energy systems. It's a a thing within all of us. And in a fifth dimension, it's about not different things that are in our way. We're going to be able to sort of manifest things so much faster. So you have to be in a good place, because you might, you don't want to be manifesting things that you don't like. So 2017 is almost like the gateways are open now. There's so much vibrational highs that we can move through our stuff quicker. We can manifest things. We're working from the highest light and manifest things for our highest good a lot quicker. So it's a massive shift. Most people probably found that the last, I'd probably say 4 years have been tough. Yeah, because we were doing a lot of deep healing work. We were doing a lot of clearing and a lot of deep healing work. So 2017 is a breather. Well, not so much a breather, because they don't give us those very often. It's more to do with the foundations of set in place as to what we'll be doing. And that really goes for myself. I'm on the forefront of shifting the energies up to the next level. So what I need to have in place now, I've been running workshops, I've been running meditations, and it's almost like everything came to a standstill at one point. You go, okay, it's crashed and burned for a reason. And then we need to start the way forward with a new vibration. I still want to do my meditations. I still want to work with workshops, because I also feel that when people are working collectively, say there's a group of 10 women together, the shift that takes place, I'm not saying men are excluded, but I was thinking of when I'm doing my goddess workshop, sorry. When there's a collective amount of people working together, the shift is phenomenal as to how they move forward. So I'm going to be focusing on my workshops and probably delivering my message a little bit more global. So I need to get out there. I need to shine this year. I'm going to be as bright, shiny star as I can. That answer your question, Mike?
It does. It does. And it's what I expected, which is perfect.
There you go. Awesome.
Okay, so Yvonne, do you do any events? Do you do any of the Mind, Body, Spirit? Are people likely to see you at those places, or are they more likely to see you sort of one-to-one and in small groups and through your website?
I think at the moment it's probably more one-to-one. I mean, I have done some Mind, Body and Spirit events where I've done readings, but I prefer to do a reading on a personal basis. I really don't like the whole atmosphere of doing readings while there's a load of other people going on. It doesn't really do it for me. I've given talks at ladies groups and different things like that, so I can be invited along to talk to people. I mean, what I usually do is chat about the angels or chat about the goddess energy, helping again to support people to sort of move forward. I run in Taunton 2 different groups. I run 2 different meditation groups, one in Neil's Yard, and one, there's a brand new centre that is set up in Taunton called the Sangha House. It's a brand new place, and they're doing Tai Chi and sort of meditations and different things. So I've now been down there and arranged to rent one of their sort of rooms in that particular location. So that's awesome. But I have travelled around England in different parts, giving talks on different things, depending on whether you've got any groups that are already set up and they want to sort of like bring someone in that wants to talk about angels or goddesses or whatever it is I do. But I do think that at this point, going back to Mike's question, I need to expand it a little bit more. I've got a book half written that needs to be finished, and I want to put a lot more programs out there sort of on the internet that people can follow and get my book written, and then probably go around doing book signings. That'd be fun.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that'd be really cool. Well, give us a shout when you're doing the book signings. I'll come along.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. Okay, so we've come to the end of our time. Any final thoughts?
Thank you.
Okay.
You go, Mike.
I was just going to say, what can I say? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, this has been the podcast episode that that when you and I set this podcast up, Lana, it was the one that I wanted, and I'm blown away by just how different I feel.
Hope I haven't disappointed.
No, not at all. I'm blown away by, you know, my own mindset shift over the last 40 minutes. And I'm absolutely sure that our listeners will, you know, will look at Yvonne and just look out for her now, just on the basis that, you know, she's a lady that has an incredible amount of wisdom. Her joy and just the way that she is, you know, it's a delight. And Yvonne, on a personal note, I'd just like to say thank you for joining us on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure for me, and I'm hoping that we'll share a cup of coffee soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Any final thoughts, Yvonne, before we sign off?
I think without it being egotistical, I wish there was more people that woke up with the amount of joy that I have, because life is amazing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if you could wake up and just go, oh, this is wonderful, life is awesome, in retrospect of all the things that's going on in your life, there's peace that you can find within your heart. And if I could share that and help people to get from that place to a better place, that's what makes me.
Right, I've completely lost sound.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
She'll come back in a minute,
Yeah.
and then we'll just ask her to say this last bit.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a coffee and a puff.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute, we're on live. Better edit that out. Just wait here for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
It's cold in here.
Did you put the heater on?
You can't, because it comes out as background noise.
Oh.
So I'm sat here like an Eskimo. It's not funny.
Oh, a bit of hypothermia then.
I can't believe that this is live and we're talking like this. Don't use these on any outtakes.
Oh no, I've lost her completely now.
All right, she'll probably come back.
Okay.
She'll click on the link and come back, and then what we'll do is, if you just
do the thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping she comes back. Otherwise, this could be a long wait.
Oh, it could be. We might be here for hours, and you'll get even more cold.
Well, actually, I've done my little bit, haven't I?
Yeah. Well, I could just do my little bit now, and then if she does come back, we could just.
Well, no. What I would do is leave it on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come in. No, I can't say this because we're live. I'm going to come in and pour myself a coffee. But if you carry on just for a couple of minutes, and then if she comes back, she comes back, and if she doesn't, we'll have to find a way around it.
Yeah.
Come back.
Okay, so thanks so much for coming on and having the conversation with us, Yvonne, and we look forward to seeing what happens in the future. Thank you.